West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, yes, yes. Give Jah the thanks and praises. Yes, people. What are you saying? Let me look to one side. Let me turn to the next side. The locks are gone, people. The locks are gone. I'm on half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and I am locksless. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. Listen, the time I'll do a podcast about this at some point to explain why the locks have gone. This has been something. What I will just say now is it's been something that's been in the pipelines for the best part of 6 months. I wouldn't say threatening, but I've certainly people close to me. I've kind of told them that I think the locks have to go. You know, my spirit was telling me, depending on who's listening to this and depending on anybody who has locks. When I first got locks, however many years ago, it was a spiritual decision. It was something inside me that said I need to grow out my hair and I need to locks it. And that same spiritual decision has come to me and said, you know what, locks have to go. There's a new season beginning within me, a new beginning. Look at me getting all philosophical on you lot. This ain't even what the episode's about, but I know people are going to ask questions in the comments, so I have to say a little peace. Basically, there's a new season, there's a new beginning. I can sense it. My spirit was talking to me, and it was saying to me, the locks have to go. And I've been building up to it all this summer, waiting for the moment when my spirit would say, Jaja, it's time. That is it. And today it was time. That is it. It was supposed to be yesterday, but I delayed it one more day. And now it is time. So what do you think, people? Get at me in the comments below. What do you think about the new, fresh... what do you think about the new, fresh Machel St. Patrick Hewitt? Whoever wants to cuss, whoever wants to get in the comments and say you're ugly, said same way, that's cool. You can call me ugly, man. That's fine. That's fine. We can work with that one. Anyways, listen. It's a little quick episode, a little idea that I had a couple of weeks ago, where I wanted to say what I felt in my time of watching West Indies cricket. I wanted to present who I believe to be the 11 most underrated players in West Indies cricket in my time watching. Everybody can get involved in this. So as you're listening to this, by all means, put down your 11 in the comments below. Say that you agree, disagree with any of my picks. I'm just going to tell you the parameters as to why I picked the 11 I picked, right? So my parameters were fairly simple. I first and foremost focused on the period of time that I've been watching West Indies, right? And my definition of underrated means players who, generally speaking, if you spoke to the average West Indian fan, they wouldn't consider this player a good player. Now, that doesn't mean that I haven't picked someone who maybe you might say in the comments, no, Mash, they were rated. But I've picked players who, in my mind, have never been fully rated in West Indies cricket. And to such an extent that I actually believe they were underrated in West Indies cricket. And if we look back now and consider that player, we might think, did we really get the best? Sorry, did we really appreciate them for either what they brought at the time or what their potential skill set could have brought if we believed in them a bit more? So without any further ado, because this is a little quick video, it's supposed to spark debate. It's supposed to spark conversation. I'm not asking you to agree with me. This is my West Indies, and this is across all formats. So it's not about Test team. It's not about ODI team. It's not about T20. I just picked the 11 most underrated West Indian players in the time that I've been watching. So anybody who wants to go old school back to the 80s, by all means do that. But you have to understand, compared to you lot who watch West Indies in the 80s, I'm a young you, much less I've just lost my locks. I'm looking young out here. I'm looking like a youth man. They might as well call me up to West Indies under 19. They've just announced West Indies under 19 are playing Sri Lanka under 19 in a 7-match ODI series or 50-over series. They need to call me up because I'm looking young out here. I'm looking, I could falsify my passport and get into the under-19 team, you know. Ramesh, call me up. Anyways, let's move because you lot will think I'm running patty shop out here. Okay, so number one, my first opener, who I think was most underrated in my time watching West Indies cricket, Wavell Hinds. Wavell Hinds. Some of you lot who are watching this are young youths, or maybe you weren't around for Wavell Hinds period. Okay, so Wavell Hinds played in Test cricket between 2000 and 2005. Generally speaking, actually, let me bring up his. Here we go. In the 45 Test matches Wavell Hinds played, he opened 46. There were 46 innings. Out of the 80 innings he batted, more than half of them were as an opener, which is why I've included him as an opener, because I'm fairly certain some people say, Mash, you shouldn't be including him as an opener. He's not an opener. But when he played Test cricket, he was an opener. Actually, I should check. Let me go back to that. As an opener, he averaged 32. As a number three, he batted 21 innings as a number three. He averaged 35. Okay. His overall Test record, Wavell Hinds batted 18 innings, 45 matches, and averaged 33. He even took 15 Test wickets at an average of 39. And in ODI cricket, because we shouldn't rule out what he did in ODI cricket as well, Wavell Hinds, sorry, I'm trying to look at stuff whilst I'm doing this. In ODI cricket, Wavell played 119 matches. He averaged 29 with the bat and averaged 29 with the ball. We would drop kick every single player in our Test team for Wavell Hinds right now. But at the time that Wavell Hinds played, I always felt that he was largely underrated for his skill set. Look at those ODI numbers, 29 with the ball, 29 with the bat. Now, you could say, given he averaged 33 in Test cricket, he should have done better with the bat. But given he was averaging 29 with the ball, how many wickets? 28 ODI wickets at an average of 29, right? Economy rate 5.3. So I just feel that the era that Wavell Hinds played in was an era where, generally speaking, you were cussed out for only averaging in the low 30s. So there's a lot of players from that era, people like Kirk Edwards. In fact, there's a couple more players I'm going to mention who are also from that era who were cussed out because they didn't average. They came in the era after the era of players where averaging 38 was seen like the low end of what you should be doing. People like Wavell averaged like 33, 34, 32, and that was seen as disgraceful at the time. Now we can't even get players averaging 26. Right. So I think Wavell Hinds was underrated and suffered from playing at a time when that was seen as not good enough. To open with him, Tagenarine Chanderpaul, which seems a bit recent, but the reason why I've got Tagenarine Chanderpaul in is because I don't think Tagenarine will ever play a Test match again. I think he's finished. Or certainly he's finished for as long as Darren Sammy is head coach. So let's say that's the next 2 years, at least 2027. But if Sammy's still coached by 2027, Tagenarine will be 31. I don't see Tage ever playing again because the Brandon style of cricket that we're trying to play means that Tagenarine can't get selected, right? Now, Tagenarine, let's say he doesn't play any more matches, his record will end as 10 Test matches at an average of 33. Yes, I am well aware that is skewed by the 207 not out. But here's my thing, right? If a player scores 207 not out, I don't care if it's against Zimbabwe. It was certainly against a better Zimbabwe than the team that's been laying down now by New Zealand and England and all of them lot, right? When a man scores 207, which was in his third Test match, so Tage in his first 3 Test matches scored 51 and 45 in Australia, 47 and 17 in Australia, 207 not out and 15 in Zimbabwe. After that, so he played 7 more Test matches and he didn't pass 50, right? Now, you might say, that shows that Tage was basically not good enough. But think about how many players we've given umpteen Test matches to not score 50. Tage got 7, didn't score 50, dropped, and we'll never see him again. How many Test openers are we ever going to see score a century again, other than Craig Brathwaite? How likely is it that we'll ever see someone other than Craig Brathwaite as an opener score a century? Tage got a double, and we'll never see him again. So I have him in my underrated bracket. Not saying you have to agree, but that's why I've got him there. I'm just giving you my justification. Number 3, Darren Bravo. Darren Bravo gets a really bad rep, and I'm fairly certain that there will be some people in the chat who will say, "No, Mash, you've just always had a soft spot for Darren Bravo as a batter, etc., etc." Darren Bravo will never play a Test match for West Indies again, and he will retire with a Test match average of 36. We will never see that again in West Indies cricket, right? In terms of he played 56 Test matches, average 36. Okay. Yes, you can look at the ODIs and go 122 ODIs, only averaging 30. That's not good enough. Strike rate 70. That's not good enough. But I'm looking at his Test record, 1750s and 800s. The large majority of those scores coming away from home in conditions that are alien to to pretty much all West Indian batters. You look at his record and he has a phenomenal away record in Test matches, and yet still when you speak to the average West Indian, they'll call him Chinese Lara and say he wasn't good enough, as if he was surrounded by players who were good enough. Do you know how? And this is why a lot of these players that we'll look at, or that I'll look at, sorry, that it's a similar tell where basically loads of West Indian uncles declare that this player isn't good enough, that they're not good, and they're nothing compared to what went before, as if what went before is the metric that we should be using. Darren Bravo will basically, in my book, he will basically be the last good batsman we'll ever have in Test cricket. Good. We can argue and argue the toss about what good means, but he'll be the last good batter we'll ever have in Test cricket. Average of 36, 1750s, 800s, never going to be picked again. And I think was vastly underrated rather than overrated. So yeah, that's Darren Bravo. Number 4, Nkrumah Bonner. The curious case of Nkrumah Bonner. So Nkrumah Bonner, let's go. Sorry, I'm bringing up everyone's stats as I go along. So Nkrumah Bonner will never play a Test match again. He's currently 36 years old. He'll never play for West Indies again. He was kicked out of the West Indies team, having played 15 Test matches with an average of 38, 350s and 200s. Because he got licked down with the fast ball, by fast bowlers in Australia, it was deemed that Bonner couldn't play pace. At the time, on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, we said multiple times, nobody in the Caribbean can play high pace. Why are we singling out Nkrumah Bonner as someone who can't play high pace? It seemed ridiculous at the time. It's still ridiculous now. His career was finished, never picked again. And since then, we still don't have a Test match number 3. Raymond Reifer replaced him. Kurt McKenzie replaced Raymond Reifer. Casey Carty replaced Kurt McKenzie. And then Kevlin Anderson replaced Casey Carty. Were any of those players better than Nkrumah Bonner? No. So we just ended his career for no particular reason, right? Underrated. Man had stickability. Man could actually bat 100 balls. Now we can't get anyone to bat 27 balls. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous out here. Number 5, Brendan Nash. Brendan Nash, the guy white Australian, whose dad was from Jamaica, qualified through Jamaican heritage, and then eventually played for the West Indies team. For anyone who was old enough to watch Brendan Nash, so his career for the West Indies went from, what year did he start playing? I can't remember the year. Let me find it, people. Brendan Nash debuted for the West Indies in 2008 and played for 3 years up to 2011. 21 Test matches. He averaged 33, 850s, 200s. Okay. Again, it's the type of record which in the time that Brendan played in, people said wasn't good enough, but that record makes him better than every single player playing in the West Indies Test team right now. And yes, again, someone might say to me, Mash, your record is relative to the period you play in. But we have been on such a decline in what basically Brendan Nash got dropped after 21 Test matches when, let me go back to let me bring up his record, people. Check out how ridiculous West Indies cricket is, right? So Brendan Nash, he scored, listen to this. This is how ridiculous this is Brendan Nash's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These are his last 12 test innings, and then he got dropped. Last 12 test innings. 114 at home against South Africa. 212 at home against South Africa. 64 away in Sri Lanka. 29 away in Sri Lanka. 67 away in Sri Lanka. Then this is why he got dropped. The next 5 innings at home against Pakistan, 5 and 3. Home against Pakistan, 6 and 30. Home against India, 1 and 9. Dropped, never seen again. So in his last 12 test innings, Brendan Nash scored 250s and 100, and that was deemed not good enough. Never saw him again. Underrated. The gritty Australian Jamaican. He was gritty in our middle order. Wasn't the best player. I think by his own admission, he'd say he wasn't the best player, right? But he at least, if anyone who remembers watching Brendan Nash, he at least put a prize on his wicket. You had to work to get Brendan Nash out. Didn't mean he was a great player, but he at least made you have to work to get him out. Dashed him out the team, never seen again. Underrated. Number 6, this is going to get a cuss out. Rahkeem Cornwall. I know he shouldn't be batting at number 6, but in fact, actually, let me put Dowrich ahead of him. Dowrich at number 6. In hindsight, we will look back at Shane Dowrich's career and say we actually had a good wicketkeeper batsman there. Dowrich retired from West Indies Test cricket with an average of, if I'm not mistaken, it was 29, right? But when you consider let me find Dowrich. Some will say, but Mash, Dowrich was more a batter who could keep than anything else. That's fine. The point is he played 35 test matches and averaged 29, 950s and 300s. Maybe Dowrich wasn't underrated, but in the annals of West Indies cricket, when you consider our wicket keepers, other than Dujon, no one's even come close to averaging 30. So in hindsight, when you look back at Dowrich, you'll look back and go, did we actually underrate this guy's ability? We could question his wicket keeping and say he wasn't the best, but as an out-and-out batter, did we underrate Shane Dowrich's capacity and ability? Because he played in a down bad era, did we actually underrate how good he was relative to what the kind of generation of West Indies cricketers, West Indies wicket keepers have done in history? He's at the top end of West Indian wicket keepers in terms of actual run production. Ridley Jacobs Ridley Jacobs wasn't underrated, but Dowrich was actually better than Ridley Jacobs with the bat. So I think Dowrich was actually underrated. Number 7, Rahkeem Cornwall. Listen, we all know the story with Rahkeem Cornwall. Because Rahkeem Cornwall is obese, people don't want to take him seriously. But when we look at Rahkeem Cornwall's skill set, I think we must look back and go, this guy was underrated, right? Let's look at Rahkeem Cornwall's skill set. Test matches. Bear in mind, he's often played at the number 9. 10 test matches, average of 19 with the bat. Okay, 250s. But then again, remember, now people say, but Matt, come on, look at his record with the ball. 35 wickets in Test cricket at an average of 37. It hardly speaks to somebody who is, quote unquote, good, right? But then when you look at Rahkeem Cornwall's Test match career, right? How many bowlers or if we want to be more specific, how many spin bowlers in West Indies cricket modern history can say, right, I won West Indies 2 series, right? In Afghanistan, in the 1 test match we played against Afghanistan, Rahkeem took 10 wickets, right? And won us that test match. Against Bangladesh in the famous test match in 2021, in the 2 test match series, he took 14 wickets across the series and helped win us that test match series, right? How many spin bowlers in West Indies cricket history, in modern history can go, obviously Jamel Warrican can, but how many can actually say, I won West Indies some test matches, I won them some series? But people will forever look at Rahkeem Cornwall, and in spite of his domestic record where he's year after year just spun down everyone, they'll go, he's obese, he's no good, should be nowhere near West Indies team. In time, will we look back at Rahkeem Cornwall and go, yeah, we underrated Rahkeem Cornwall still. Because we got not me, you lot, because you got obsessed with his size, you never actually looked at his ability, and therefore we dashed him out quicker than we should have done. Number 8, Franklin Rose. Again, this one speaks to a certain era of West Indies fandom, because a lot of you possibly weren't alive to properly watch Franklin Rose's career. Now, Franklin Rose only played 19 test matches. He basically was, I think he was in the 90, he was out of the team by the year 2000. And when you look at Franklin Rose's record, it makes no sense that he was out of the team by the year 2000. In test match cricket, Franklin Rose played 19 test matches and took 53 wickets and at an average of 30. Listen to that again. He took 53 wickets in 19 test matches at an average of 30. But I have to... This is contentious, because if you're old enough to have watched Franklin Rose's career, you'll possibly say Machel wasn't underrated, but I actually think he was, because he was a hothead off the pitch. I think that we almost didn't appreciate his skill set on the pitch. And again, Franklin Rose suffered, like Rhion King did and like Mervyn Dillon did. They all suffered because they were the next bowlers that came after Courtney and Kirtley. So all of those bowlers that came after Courtney and Kirtley were judged by the metric of Courtney and Kirtley. But when you go back and look at them in and of their own rights, they were actually decent. Franklin Rose was a decent bowler. Yes, obviously the playing thing, and he wanted to chop a man and so on and so forth. But he was actually underrated in and of his own time. People might disagree with that one. Number 9, Ravi Rampaul. Now, Ravi Rampaul also falls into the Rahkeem Cornwall situation here. Rampaul was often mimicked and called roti belly by certain people. I heard a big rumor. I'd have to speak to Rampaul and find out if this is true and if he's willing to confirm it. But I was always told and had heard a rumor that Ravi was dropped from the West Indies team because certain people in Cricket West Indies hierarchy didn't like the fact that he had a belly, and they didn't want him on the field with his belly because they found that embarrassing. That's what I was always told. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if that's urban legend, but that's certainly what I was told, right? So, but when you look at Ravi Rampaul's career, you have to ask yourself, how did this guy not play more? His career ended earlier than it should have done. Test cricket, he played 18 test matches, took 49 wickets at 34. ODI cricket, he played 92 matches and took 117 wickets at 29. T20 cricket, he played 20 internationals. He played 27 matches and took 31 wickets at 26, right? Those numbers are good across formats. He was a multi-format bowler. Yet when you talk about Ravi Rampaul, nobody ever really people almost like pigeonhole him as, oh, he was all right in T20s. Ravi Rampaul was good. He was a super effective limited overs bowler and actually should have played more test match cricket, right? But no one ever really talks about Ravi in that way. They just go, oh, he was all right in T20s. Ravi was much better than that. So I feel like he was underrated. People wanted to focus on the belly thing and I don't think he played as much as he should have done. Injuries notwithstanding, I don't think West Indies utilised Ravi Rampaul as much as they should have done. I think he was underrated. Number 10, arguably the best spinner. This is going to be interesting because, again, you have to be a certain age to even have seen this guy bowl. Have I even got his right name? I'm trying to find his... Can't even find him. Have I put the right spelling on the thing? I might have spelled his name. I might spell his name wrong, you know. Yeah, here we go. I've actually spelt his name wrong. So before all the Trinis come for me and say Machel spelt his name wrong, Dinath Ramnarine. I wonder how many people are old enough to see Dinath bowl for West Indies. He played 12 test matches. Listen to this. Listen to his spin record, people. 12 test matches, 45 wickets at 30. Listen to that economy rate, 2.3. 12 test matches, 45 wickets at 30. Why did Ramnarine only play 12 test matches? Underrated. I think you have to be a certain age to have even remember seeing Dinath Ramnarine play for the West Indies. But it was criminal that he only played 12 test matches. Let me dive into his career a bit more. 1 second. So Ramnarine, right? Listen to his last 1, 2, 3. Listen to his last 5 test matches. South Africa at Sabina Park. First innings, 1 for 20. Second innings, 3 for 61. Sri Lanka away in Gaul. 58 overs, 3 for 158. Sri Lanka away in the Askaria Stadium. First innings, 3 for 81. Second innings, 4 for 66. You lot listening? See what I just told you there. Sri Lanka, 3 for 81, then 4 for 66. He only played 2 more test matches after that. Sri Lanka away, Sinhalese Sports Club ground. Second innings, none for 51. Pakistan away, Sharjah. First innings, 3 for 137, 36 overs bowled. Second innings, none for 39, 12 overs bowled. Ramnarine never played again after that. Underrated spinner. Arguably, Ramnarine's the last good test match spinner we've had. Arguably. Warrican, maybe, by the time Warrican retires, you might say Warrican, but Ramnarine was the last good test match spinner we had. Underrated. And then lastly, number 11, who I've got, Mervyn Dillon. Mervyn Dillon, you might as well copy and paste what I said about Franklin Rose, but for Mervyn Dillon. Was Mervyn Dillon good? Good is subjective. But what I would say is this. Mervyn Dillon wasn't as bad as people made him out to be. Again, Mervyn Dillon suffered for arriving on the scene after Kirtley and Courtney. Dillon played 38 test matches, took 131 wickets at 33 apiece. Now, one of the reasons why I say that is because think about how we view Alzari Joseph, right? Mervyn Dillon has a better test match record than Alzari Joseph, but Mervyn Dillon was cussed. People cussed him for being no good, but he was actually just all right. It's just that he came after Kirtley and Courtney, but he's actually all right. ODI cricket, he played 108 matches. He took 130 wickets at 32 apiece. So when you look at his dual record, 131 wickets in test matches at 33, 130 wickets in ODIs at 32. It's not brilliant, but he wasn't a bad bowler. At the time, people had him down as this guy's no good. He was just all right. He was actually all right. I think he was underrated. He wasn't brilliant. He was sometimes very good, but he wasn't bad. And I think because people saw him as a bad bowler in the context, I think he was actually underrated. So that's my underrated West Indies 11 in my lifetime, people. Get at me in the comments below. Let me know your underrated 11. Do you agree with what I've got? Do you think I've missed anyone out? Just to go back through my list again. Openers, Wavell Hinds and Tagenarine Chanderpaul. Number 3, Darren Bravo. Number 4, Nkrumah Bonner. Number 5, Brendan Nash. Number 6, Shane Dowrich and wicketkeeper. Number 7, Rahkeem Cornwall. Number 8, Franklin Rose. Number 9, Ravi Rampaul. Number 10, Dinath Ramnarine. And number 11, Mervyn Dillon. Locks are gone, people, but I'm back with content said same way. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. As ever, you can see the ticker tape below. Like, share, and subscribe. We're on all social media handles. You can find us everywhere: X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Patreon, everywhere. Find the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And more importantly, if you'd like to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, if you're not going to use Super Chat, Super Thanks, or Buy Me a Coffee, which are all in the descriptors below, you can head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Every little bit helps and counts. And there's different tiers to the Patreon. So if you want to pay more because you want access to the descriptor for that tier, by all means do so. If you're somebody who doesn't like all these ads on YouTube, there's certain tiers with Patreon where I send you the ad-free audios of these particular podcasts. So you may want those. Go to patreon.com/Carib Cricket and you'll find out some more there. I'll be Machel St. Patrick here at one half the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm a young boy out here, you know. Peace.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.